Hard Faction Wars is here, and I can't do it. What's up, everybody? I am Felrus, sailing the seas of Raid Shadow Legends, here to tell you all the ways that I am preparing to do Hard Faction Wars. Now, I'm almost done, actually, with regular Faction Wars, alright? I'm less than 100 stars away from my Lydia, and there are only like four or five factions now that I need to finish. So Shadowkin I was working on today, and we're gonna be able to finish it next time it comes around. They just don't give enough keys for me to finish all of it already, right? Dwarf Crypt is gonna take some work. We're only at 36 stars there. That's about halfway through the crypt. Skinwalker's Crypt we're gonna be able to finish because of Yuzin and Mr. Whoop, right, carrying the squad there. We're gonna be able to finish that next time it comes around. Ogren Tribes, I've got a little bit of a strategy that I'm going to share with you in just a little bit that I think will be able to clear the crypt for us. And then Lizard Men, 27 stars. That's not even halfway through the crypt, but that needs work. Everything else is finished. Everything else we can farm, at least Lego gear, if not the boss. So, you know, we're pretty good there. Now, I just want to walk you through some of the strategies that I'm finding for these crypts. Hey, you, stop right there. Click the link in the description below to get a free Corrado, as well as Fane, Ugo, and Vergus as you level up your account in Raid. Here's exactly how to do it. Log out of Clarion Play on PC and uninstall. Click the link in the description below and register with a brand new email. Log in and complete the tutorial. You'll find Corrado in your inbox, as well as Fane, Ugo, and Vergus as you level up. If you're looking for a great start in Raid, this is your chance. Make sure you get your free Corrado as well as 3 free epics by clicking my link right away. So let's start with the Shadowkin. So if we go to my Shadowkin, what have I done in order to beat this crypt? Well, my Shadowkin are few and far between, all right? I've got Ninja and I've got Lady Kimi, and those are the only two really good Shadowkin that I have on my account. So the first thing I did, like, Ninja is an awesome damage dealer, right? So I figured if I have so few good Shadowkin, what I need to do is more damage, right? Make sure that I can hit things harder than they hit me so that they hit me less, right? Especially since I don't have a healer or a reviver in Shadowkin faction, right? I have Fenshi and I have Tomo. We're going to get to them in just a second, right? So Ninja's going to be crowd controlling the waves. He absolutely hits like a truck, right? I've got him 5-star awaken, luckily, right? 5.7k attack, 250% crit damage, 461 accuracy is really good stats, right? Then Lady Kimi, she has turn meter boosting with increased speed and increased accuracy, as well as turn meter control with decreased speed and decreased accuracy. So she's going to be our control champion. Her A1 also has a 60% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%, sorry, the highest target turn meter, right? And then her passive here, whenever this champion places a debuff on an enemy, also decreases that enemy's turn meter by 5% for each debuff placed. Whenever this champion or an ally receives a debuff, fills the turn meter by 5% for each debuff received. So she's got some more turn meter fill, turn meter control there. So, you know, Kimi's going to be our control, Ninja's going to be our damage, Arashi's going to be our second damage dealer. He has an AoE that ramps ignore defense. He doesn't actually hit very hard, unfortunately, but I did 60 him because he's HP based, so he's going to come in at 71k HP for us to be able to just do a little bit more damage. Basically, between Arashi and Ninja, the waves don't get too many turns, right? And that's the goal. We want to get hit less than we are hitting, and the way we are doing that for this faction is going to be by out nuking them. Now, I also have Tomo. Now, I built up Tomo, I believe, yesterday during champion training, or 2 days ago by the time you're seeing this video. Her A1 has a 30% chance of stealing a random buff from the target. Her A2 has a 100% chance booked of placing decreased attack, so when we do get hit, we're going to be taking less damage. That's kind of the point there. And then her A3 places a counterattack buff on a target ally for 2 turns, places a counterattack buff for 3 turns instead if the ally is from the Shadowkin faction, then fills the turn meters of all allies by 15% and places a 30% increased crit damage buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also places a 30% crit rate buff for 2 turns on allies from the Shadowkin faction. So basically, we're going to stick a counterattack on our Ninja. We're going to buff his crit damage, but we're going to buff his crit rate too, although he doesn't really need that. And he's just going to get some extra hits in. That's especially good against bosses and whatever. And then her passive here increases all heals and turn meter fill effects by 20% when used on allies from the Shadowkin faction. protection. If there are multiple champions on the team with a skill, only one will activate. Kind of an underrated passive here, the Brethren passive. I mean, I believe that applies to Kimi as well. So Kimi is going to be boosting our turn meter not only with her A3 but also with her passive here. So Tomo is just going to give Lady Kimi some extra value, so she is there for that reason. Now then, I also have Fenshi. Fenshi isn't booked or anything, he's only level 31. What I did was basically I was like, okay, we gotta have a fifth champion, and so we're just gonna make him a tank. So I put him in my tanky gear, right? 37k HP, 1.4k defense. He's only at 5 stars. I only plan on taking Fenshi and Tomo to level 50 if at all possible, so that we don't have to waste resources. Yeah, I think the main body of the team is Kimi, Ninja, and Arashi. Those are kind of the main body, and then Tomo and Fenshi are kind of just there to have heads in the team to get that 3rd star. Tomo is giving us value with her passive and with her counter attack. Other than that, and with her decreased attack as well. Other than that, she's pretty much just there to fill a head count. All right, so let's figure out what we're gonna do with the Ogren. So one thing I'm doing as I'm going through all these champs is I am rebuilding champs in certain ways, right? So Korugar Deathbell here, he has a turn meter fill, he has a cleanse, he has ally protection and strengthen, his passive makes everybody more tanky, and then he counterattacks whenever an ally under ally protection is attacked. It can occur once per enemy turn. And then his A1 attacks one enemy, heals the champion by 10% of their max HP. He can do some damage, right? I have him equipped with War Master as far as masteries are concerned. He's coming in with 102k HP, 2.5k defense, 257 speed. He's going to be our protector. He's actually our main damage dealer as well, since I don't have an Ogren damage dealer. This A2 does hit pretty hard. Then there's Skull Crusher, also can do some damage with his A1 here, and then he has ally protection and counterattack, so he's another protector with counterattacks for a little bit of damage. Ugo is going to be bringing our drop defense and our block buffs, which is super important against the Valkyrie waves, right? And then she has a heal, removing random debuff and heal reduction, and then a leech as well. And then we have Maneater. Now, Maneater I recently rebuilt, and we're going to get to that in just a second. He's in Merciless now. So he has a AoE unkillable and block debuffs. So this champion receives damage, then places an unkillable buff and a block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns. Damage received is equal to 5% max HP for each alive ally. So what I'm planning to do is I put him in a 4-piece Merciless for a 30% chance to reduce a random skill's cooldown by 1 turn when dealing damage. So the idea here is we're going to reduce the cooldown of this A3, and then we have enough protection from Skull Crusher and Korugar for everybody else to survive, especially since everybody else is pretty tanky. But what we're going to do is we're just going to try to pull a random Ogren rare and then just put no gear on him, and then Maneater will buff with this at the beginning of each wave before we get hit, and then it will just never fall off. That's going to be the strategy I follow here, just because we have no damage dealer and because we need to finish the faction. We're actually almost done with Ogren Faction Wars at 55 stars, so this should be a decently easy clear, right? Decently easy clear. Yeah, that should be the strategy that should work. The Merciless should put in work here. Now, Dwarves, what are we gonna do about Dwarves? Dwarves is definitely one of my weaker factions, and so as such we have to consider this. Okay, so I have Geomancer, I have Morag, and then I recently 6-starred my Mountain King. So my Mountain King needs a gear upgrade on this helmet. First of all, that's the first thing that he needs. Oh, nice, more speed. I completely ignored the speed stat on my Mountain King. He's coming in at 162 speed, right? 230 crit damage, 88,000 HP, and then a little bit of attack as well, 2.9k attack, because he scales mostly off of HP, but a little bit on attack. He ignores 50% defense, he attacks one enemy, then he ignores shield and block damage on all single target stuff. So the idea here is that we're going to use our Morag's ally attack to get more damage off with Mountain King. And then Mountain King's going to be our main nuker. Of course, Geomancer is there. He can do some damage as well. He has an AoE A1 and is equipped with War Master. I'm going to 60, I think, my Rearguard Sergeant as an ally protector. She's going to give us ally protection and continuous heal. I am going to book her. Then she has a books to 75% chance of placing a decrease attack, and then heals her by 25% of the damage inflicted. Attacks one enemy, 40% chance of placing a decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. I do have a fully upgraded ignore defense area bonus for Faction Wars, so you know we're we're going to get those bonuses as well. But Mountain King's our main nuker. I definitely would not complain about more Void Legos. Now, the other thing that I have, the other champion that I probably need to build out for my dwarves is going to be Philia here. So Philia has attacks all enemies, fills the champion's turn meter by 15%, and heals them by 15% of the damage inflicted if the attack is critical. Attacks one enemy, has a 75% chance of fully depleting the target's turn meter on the A2, and then attacks one enemy 2 times, destroys the target's max HP by 10% of the damage inflicted, cannot destroy a single enemy's max HP by more than 50%. And then her passive Boon Chant, if this champion has 2 or fewer buffs at the start of the turn, places a 50% increased attack buff and a 30% increased crit damage buff on this champion for 1 turn. So she can self-buff as well. We might actually build her out as another damage dealer. She does have an AoE, which Mountain King does not have for Faction Wars. So then the team would be Geomancer, Morag, Mountain King, Philia, and Rearguard Sergeant. The other thing we might do is book out and build out a second Morag to get that other ally attack so that we can get Mountain King's big hits off more. And he does hit pretty hard. We might do a live arena showcase of him at some point. He's in a lethal set, right? Might want to change him to Stone Skin though, since he's so slow, right? So yeah, that's kind of the strategy for dwarves. We have a couple ways to go, but definitely getting Rearguard Sergeant for the ally attack for the continuous heal is going to be my strategy. Next on the list, we already are going to complete Skinwalker's Faction Wars, so the only one that we have to worry about is Lizardmen. And unfortunately, these are all the Lizardmen I have on my account. I have pulled a insanely low number of Lizardmen. So we've got Venomage, Razin, Broadmaw, and another Venomage. This one's not even built or booked or anything. Broadmaw isn't built or booked or anything. Razin isn't built or booked or anything. Venomage is missing a chest plate, but other than that, yeah, she's built. And so my strategy here, I think I'm gonna build Razin for damage. I'm gonna build Broadmaw in regen because he's gonna be our only reviver here. Revives 2 random allies with 25% HP, places block damage buff on the revived allies for 1 turn. We can fuse another Broadmaw if we need to. Then we're gonna use this other Venomade probably for more damage. But like, that's not a super solid team, right? That's not a solid team at all. It's just kind of whatever we can throw together. There's not really any strategy there. So what we're gonna do is actually pull Ancient Shards today for the extra legendary event. Now, I debated doing this, but I think if we can get some solid Lizardman epics, potentially some solid Ogryn epics, and then we will also get food in order to upgrade our champions for Faction Wars. Now, this is a pretty bad idea. I definitely don't recommend doing this. However, if we hit the extra legendary, especially if it's for one of those factions we haven't finished, then it could actually be game changing and help me get Lydia. So that being said, we're gonna pull some Ancient Shards. I don't expect to get anything. I'm just hoping for a couple epics at most. We will see. There's Solaris. Even if we don't get anything, we're at least gonna get food. That's kind of my thinking here. I do not recommend that you do this unless you're close to Mercy. I've maybe pulled 150 shards since I got Mountain King. Colwyn is not from a faction that we need. I may not even pull all my ancients. We'll see. Greybeard is a good champion. Definitely recommend building him out if you need him. Epic, come on. Fenshi, come on, man. All right, well, that can go into Faction Guardians and help me clear that out. Gnarlhorn can probably be kept. All right, we need to do a 10 pop here. I'm feeling a 10 pop. Fencer, not helpful. Sorry, area, not helpful at all. Let's go. Give me that extra Lego. I'm gonna get rare attack so hard, aren't I? We got a Ruella. Ruella's not bad. Did we get any? Yes, we got a rare, which should be all we need. At least that much is worth it. Should I go all the way? Another 10 pull? Probably that's not worth it. Let's go ahead and stick our champs in here. There we go. Okay, so we've got another 10% HP. Should make us a little bit tankier for all our epic Skinwalkers. Oh, you know what? Screw it. Another 10 pull. Give me either epics that are good for Faction Wars, or I'm gonna get rare taxed. Or that Lego, I gotta get rare taxed. Yep, I got rare taxed. Big ol' ouch. This is why we do not do Ancient Shards during extra legendary events, guys. Well, let me know if this was helpful for you. Let me know what your thoughts were in the comments below and how you are going to tackle Faction Wars if you haven't already cleared it. I have been Felris, sailing the seas of Raid Shadow Legends, and I will see you in another video.